Hello there, welcome to the second series of computer software, and what we'll be looking at today is the operating system software, which is one of the categories of the computer software pointed out in our previous videos. Okay, so let's jump right into it. So we are expected to, at the end of the lesson, understand more about the operating system software and to know and identify the various versions of operating system softwares that are available as it relates to our personal computers. Okay, so let's get started. So what are these operating system software? Well, as we mentioned to you earlier, we said that the operating system software is what helps us to boot to the desktop environment. It helps us to get to the desktop environment. So by the time you actually press your on button and you sit back and wait, you have to get to a screen where you know that the computer is ready for use, and it is the operating system that allows us to actually achieve that. So in this particular case, you can see that we have different screenshots of various operating systems basically on various desktop environments, and we'll be looking at each and every one of these operating systems and their types in a moment. So let's get started. Let's look at them. The operating systems can be put into their types based on their manufacturers. We have Windows, we have Macintosh, and we have Android operating system. Okay, these are the various types. We're going to see who actually manufactures them and what makes them unique and where they are mainly being used. Okay, because some operating systems are used on desktops and laptops, some are preferred on notebooks, some are used on tablets and phones, and we'll get to see which ones are preferred. So let's begin with Windows. Windows here is an operating system produced by Microsoft. You've heard about Microsoft and the whole Bill Gates story, the man who made a lot of money from Microsoft. Yeah, Microsoft is actually, he owns a share of Microsoft, partially his company, and Microsoft actually are the guys who produce Windows operating system. They are a software company, and Microsoft is actually their version of Windows is very common, especially on computers like your desktops, like your laptops, and like your notebooks. And they have different versions of Windows. The common ones I will mention, they have what you call Windows XP, they have Windows 7, they have Windows 8 and 8.1, and they also have Windows 10. In the stay of our training during this particular session, we'll show you the various differences between the various Windows. The reason why we're focusing on the Windows itself is because we want to look at the various types, understand how they look like and how to identify them. Okay, I want to look at that, how they identify in terms of physical identification, so you can pick them out and know, oh, this computer is Windows XP, this is 7 based on appearance. Okay, moving on. So the next one that we'll be looking at is actually the Macintosh. Macintosh is a well-known brand produced by Apple. If you've been around anything iPhone, iPad, Apple laptops, the operating system that runs is not Windows for that particular type of device. It's actually called Macintosh, and Macintosh operating system is produced by Apple's, and they are seen on Apple laptops and desktops. They are also seen on iPads and iPhones. Okay, they are well known for their legendary logo, the Apple logo that is actually eaten. I do wonder what eat it, but all the same, that is the logo, and actually they are a strong operating system type, just as Windows is. Okay, moving on. So the next part is the Android. Well, the Android is very common. It's mainly owned by Google Incorporation and Google Corporation, but in this particular case, they are mainly seen on smartphones. Excuse me. They are mainly seen on smartphones and tablets. Okay, if you buy a smartphone, Android phones are reigning in the market right about now. So if you get a smartphone, it's going to be running on Android mainly, and you see some tablets, maybe 7-inch tablets, 8-inch, 10-inch, they will all be running on Android. Okay, and some few desktop computers do have or do run Android. It's a possibility, it's a matter of choice. Okay, they are well known for their logo. That's the logo down there, the Android logo. What we'll be looking at actually is we'll be looking at the various types of how the desktops of these various types of operating system looks like to a common person, and how to identify the types, okay, in terms of how they look. So let's get started with the first type of operating system. This one we are looking at is Windows XP. Windows XP operating system made by Microsoft. It actually is an older version. It was made from 2000, I think 2002. Modifications happened in 2005. It's one of the most stable operating systems that Microsoft has had. Although they have discontinued support on the particular operating system so they can work on their newer versions. The Windows XP is easily identified by the fact that it has a kind of rectangular start button. That start button there is rectangular. It's not really circle, it's not really square, it's long, and it has start written on it. Okay, and once you click on the start button, the start menu that comes out is a short menu that does not cover the entire screen. It's from the start menu, if you've been following our training, that you can go to your all programs, your all apps, and access what you want, your documents, your music, your pictures. So it stands out on its own. Okay, this is how Windows XP will come out, with a long start button, and when you click on the start button, the start menu that comes out is a short one that does not cover the entire screen. The next type is the Windows 7, which I would like us to look at. I'm going to be ignoring Windows Vista because Windows Vista and Windows 7 almost have the same features. So Windows 7 operating system here is also owned by Microsoft and created by them. In this particular situation, Windows 7 is a bit clearer in terms of graphics than Windows XP. And the thing that stands out and differentiates it is that when you talk about the start button, Windows 7 has a circular start button. Remember, we saw a rectangular long start button that had start written on it on Windows XP. But we're dealing with a computer that has Windows 7. The button around it is circular. Okay, it's a circular start button, and that particular start button, when you click on it, gives you a start menu which doesn't cover the entire screen, just like Windows XP, but it's still a bit more flashy than Windows XP. Okay, so that should give you a big identification point when trying to pick out which Windows is being used. The next one is the Windows 8, or what you call and 8.1. Now this is a very interesting change. Here, although it's looking slicker, the start button is back to being a smaller, almost a square, but not a perfect square. That is the new start button adopted by Microsoft when they were making Windows 8 to make it different from others. And interestingly, once you choose on the start button for Windows 8, it will cover the entire screen. Check it out. Your start button, actually, when you click on it, it covers the entire screen. Okay, that is one of the major pointers for all the systems running on Windows 8 and 8.1. Once you click on the start button, the start menu covers the entire screen. Alright, so basically you can use these points to identify a computer running on Windows 8 or 8.1 operating system. The next is Windows 10. Now, whereas Windows 10 looks alike or like the same thing as Windows 8, the difference is that the start button is still square, in a way, but once you click on the start button for the start menu, what will come out is not a full start menu that covers the entire screen. Well, in this case, they have modified it to make sure the start button just picks up not the entire screen but a particular space. So you can see this very big difference between Windows 8.1 and 8 and between Windows 7. And between Windows 10 and Windows 10, the start menu will cover parts of the screen, but Windows 8 and 8.1, the start button will cover the entire screen. the start menu when chosen. So basically you should have to pick out these as basic identifiers, even though they have the same shape of start button. Okay, their start menus are not the same. Alright, so let's keep going on forward. The next one is the not so common in this part of the world but still being used Macintosh operating system. The Macintosh operating system here is actually known for its quality and its strength. Of course, its priceiness is always expensive, higher than others, but all the same, your Macintosh operating system do have its own start button, but they call it the Apple button, located at the top. So the difference is very clear. Unlike Windows operating system, which is run by Microsoft, their start buttons are always on the bottom. In Apple, is on the top. And once you click on it, you have your own start menu. That's it there, which you can now use to access whatever you want on the Apple laptop, tablet, or iPhone, as the case might be. Okay, so let's keep going on forward. The last one we'll look at is the Android operating system. In this situation, the Android operating system, like I said, is used on tablets and phones, smartphones mainly, but it's not an odd sight to see it on laptop computers I have, and desktop. I've seen them on those computers as well. Now for the Android operating system, we really have a start button, but it's called the menu, and the menu is somewhere at the center. Is known by having those 3 dots in a circle, and once you choose the menu, you'll be given the access to the apps on that particular tablet. So it's actually very easy to use. It's very common. So when we are going back and forth, please do remember and do recall the various types of operating systems. Please do watch the videos to be sure. Okay, and to get the idea, remember that when you look at the types of operating systems, we're looking at the various types in terms of my Windows, in terms of Macintosh, and in terms of Android. Okay, those are the actual various types of operating systems that actually do exist. So you look through them and make sure you get the full understanding on how to identify them when met with such. Alright, so thanks for being with us. It's been a lovely class. Be sure to come back and take the next lesson when it's available. Thank you so much.